Radhe Krishna, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Srimate Ramanujaya Namaha. Welcome to the Bhakti Rahasyam episode number 32. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, Lord Krishna talks about the concept of Samabhav, which means seeing everyone and everything with the same lens without any discrimination. He says, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Shwapakecha Pandita Samadarshinaha, which means the saint with true knowledge and humility sees a learned person, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater with the same set of eyes. There is no discrimination to the true saint. He would bestow his blessings and desire well-being evenly for all the species, whether it is the human species or the non-human species. And even within the human species, there is no discrimination on the grounds of caste, creed, or race. So such has been the importance of Samabhav, which is spoken in our scriptures in great length. Even the non-human species have been given the due importance. That's why we see in a lot of cases our various gods have an association with various animals, birds, and such species. We see Lord Shiva associated with a bull, Ma Saraswati associated with a swan, Ma Durga associated with a tiger. Even if we recall in our last Bhakti Rahasyam, we spoke about a non-human species only. It was Ananta Sesha, Sheshanag, Adi Sesha, various names by which he is called. And the important devotional service he renders to Lord Vishnu, donning multiple hats. He acts as an umbrella, he can act as the Lord's bed, he can act as the Lord's slippers. Whatever the Lord desires, the serpent, Adisesha, is able to modify himself flexibly. So such has been the status which has been accorded to these species, and in many cases they are elevated to the level of devotees because they are entrenched in deep devotion towards the Lord. Now, if we were to draw a parallel in our lives regarding devotion, there are various objects around us which we use in our day-to-day lives. If we were able to connect these various objects used in our day-to-day lives with some kind of a devotional story or a devotional incident or a devotee himself or herself, our minds would start thinking more and more about such devotional experiences. That itself is enough to increase the bhakti or the devotion quotient in our hearts and help us to progress in the path of devotion. So we need not struggle too much to go for devotion. Just see the objects around us, what we use, what we normally interact with, and if we were able to establish a divine connection, that itself becomes a devotional experience or bhakti. Just to give a small example, say in the rains we use the umbrella. How many times would we have recalled that, oh, even Adi Sesha is acting as an umbrella to the Lord? That itself, or that connection itself helps in making or holding umbrella as a devotional experience. We put our shoes and slippers every day when we go out. How many times we would have correlated it to the fact that, oh, Adisesha acts as the slippers of Lord Vishnu whenever the Lord desires. So even the act of putting the shoe or slippers can become an act of devotion if such correlation exists. So simple things, whatever we do, we don't have to attempt anything different, do anything different. Whatever we do, if we are able to connect, that becomes bhakti. Now, Tirukkolur Penpillai would, to a larger and greater extent, she would have done these comparisons frequently. She would have, in whatever activities she did, she would have correlated with some kind of a devotee, some kind of a story, because of which over a period of time she was able to assimilate all this. Her life was surrounded by all these experiences, by all these stories, and she had collated it nicely in her mind and heart, that she was able to outpour it to the great saint Ramanuja when the right moment came. So continuing with her Bhakti Rahasyam, in the 32nd verse, she says, "Did I carry the Lord like Garuda Alvar?" Now again we come back to the point of non-human species. She is comparing herself with the bird Garuda, who acts as the vehicle or personal carrier of Lord Vishnu. Now Garuda Alvar, why is he referred to as an Alvar? In the Vaishnavite tradition, whoever is deeply engaged in the service of the Lord or in the thoughts of the Lord is referred respectfully as an Alvar. So in fact, in the last week's Rahasyam, where we spoke about Anantasesha or Sheshanag, even he is referred to as Ananta Alvar because of the continuous service he is doing to Lord Vishnu. So similarly here, Garuda is referred as Garuda Alvar respectfully to represent the services he is providing to Lord Vishnu. Now, how did Garuda become the personal vehicle of Lord Vishnu? There is a small story which is narrated in our great epic Mahabharata. The story goes thus, that Garuda's mother was once tricked or cheated to become a slave of the serpents community. When Garuda grows up, he is also doing some kind of acts for the serpents. That's when he thinks differently and he says, why should he be doing all these acts? When he questions his mother, she narrates the story about how she was tricked into becoming a slave for the serpents. Garuda is not the one who is going to take this lightly, so he approaches the serpents and tells them that he needs to relieve his mother because she was wrongfully cheated. Now the serpents community, they are not going to relieve her so easily, so they make a demand on Garuda. They say if Garuda is somehow able to fetch the nectar of immortality, which is in a far off place, which is fiercely guarded by a lot of creatures, even by some demigods or devatas, then they will be relieving him and his mother. Now Garuda knows that it is a very difficult task, yet he has that staunch belief that he has to do this to relieve his mother as well as the future generations from this kind of a slavery. His mother guides him as to how to reach that particular location which has this nectar, and thus Garuda sets off on an adventurous task. In the way, he meets a lot of obstacles in terms of difficult, dangerous creatures, because he has to go from various kingdom to kingdom. So there are multiple creatures who prevent him. So he puts up a brave fight, and there is a point in time when he even has to fight the various devatas to reach that particular place where the nectar is stored. With his bravery, with his self-belief, he is able to crack that adventure. He takes the nectar. When he is about to leave, unaware of the circumstances around, there is Lord Vishnu, who has been witnessing his selfless and brave act throughout. That's when he appears before Garuda and offers him a boon of his choice. So Garuda says that he desires immortality himself, and he wants to take the position on the top of Vishnu's flag. Vishnu readily accepts, and surprisingly, Garuda also offers a boon to Lord Vishnu, asking him what he expects out of Garuda. Lord Vishnu accepts that and says that he wants Garuda to be his personal vehicle. Garuda heartily accepts, and from that point in time, he aims towards the sky with carrying Lord Vishnu on his shoulders. Thus, Garuda becomes the personal vehicle of Lord Vishnu, rendering him service. Wherever the Lord wants to go, Garuda is his constant companion. So in our various stories, which are a part of our great Puranas, we see whenever the Lord comes to bless a devotee, relieve a devotee out of some curse, or to balance between the good and the evil, he has to kill some demons, it is Garuda who is ready to take him on that particular mission. So just to give some examples, when the Lord showed his blessings, showed his grace on the little Dhruva who was meditating in the forests when he was 5 years old, the Lord came on Garuda. Then there is the story of the elephant king Gajendra, who was trapped by a crocodile, and he was engaged in a fight with that crocodile, and finally, when there was no option left out, he sent out a prayer to Lord Narayana. Again the Lord came on Garuda. Then if we take the case of Narakasura, the demon who had imprisoned almost 16,000 gopis, Krishna along with his consort Satyabhama came to relieve the gopis, and by killing this demon Narakasura, they came on Garuda. So Garuda has been a faithful, constant companion, rendering such a great devotional service to the Lord. So this is again a very small point which is captured by Tirukkolur Penpillai, thinking that how useful this Garuda, who belongs to the species of the birds, is, that he is in constant service to Lord Vishnu. And where am I with a so-called human form, with developed sixth sense intellect? Where am I? So that is her lamentation, and she feels that she never carried the Lord on her shoulders. Here again, the comparison should not be taken literally in the physical sense that one has to carry the Lord. Even if we are able to carry the Lord in our minds and hearts, that is, constantly think about him, that itself becomes equivalent to Garuda carrying the Lord on his shoulders. Now let us take the case in our day-to-day lives. We are going about carrying our duties. In that pursuit, we are carrying a lot of things. It could be physical things like our bags, like our wallets, or it can also be a lot of intangibles, the joys and the sorrows, hatred, jealousy, likings, greed, expectations, name anything, we carry it with a great burden. Now, when we carry all these intangible burdens with us, it starts weighing on our life, and at times life becomes very difficult to proceed with. We see a lot of cases where people talk about midlife crisis. That is because the burdens are very painful. They start increasing the weight just because we ourselves have given a nice place in our heart to those burdens to reside. But drawing parallel from Tirukkolur Penpillai, if we were to carry the Lord in our minds and hearts to a greater extent, wouldn't these burdens go down? Wouldn't these burdens shift? And once we feel that the burden reduces in their weight, aren't we opening ourselves up to the much desired happiness and peace in our lives? So think about it. Do we want to carry all the burdens in our heart? Or like Garuda, do we want to carry the Lord constantly with us wherever we go? So that was the message from Garuda's life, which we learned through Tirukkolur Penpillai. So stay blessed, stay devoted, and stay tuned for our next Bhakti Rahasyam. Radhe Krishna, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Srimate Ramanujaya Namaha.